the dark where the strange things flicker, Jennifer Hicks takes you in a little deeper.
Cryptids, UFOs, stories that chill, the truth's out there, and she's got the thrill. Welcome to creepy culture, where the unknown comes alive.
Hey, it's Jen. Welcome to Creepy Culture. Thank you guys so much for being here. Today I have Rickie Sanchez. I'm going to be talking with him about Dogman, and he's going to shed a whole new light on these creatures because he has a lot of knowledge about them, and I think the information that he's going to share is going to be really great because they're just portrayed as evil all the time, and it's just really great to have a different point of view on these dogmen. So I'm going to bring him out. Hey, Rickie.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Great. So I guess you could just start off by telling who you are, what you do, how you got into this, and we'll wing it from there.
So years ago, I was working for the Department of Corrections in Wisconsin. And the way I started researching was because one night I was letting out my dog to use the bathroom, and as I'm waiting for him to use the bathroom, I clearly heard what was an American Werewolf in London howl.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That was the howl that started everything. So I began to research fully there. Now, before moving to Wisconsin, I used to live in Puerto Rico, and I used to email Linda Godfrey back and forth. And we would talk about the phenomena and like that. But obviously, back then, I'm just thinking it's just a wolf that had an injury and would get on two legs. Now, normally wolves, coyotes get on two legs to look for higher ground, if you're looking over grass or stuff like that. So I just thought that, this is a wolf that learns stuff like that. She pointed out one of the early encounters of a guy that was picking up a deer in Wisconsin, and it dragged the deer right with the hooks on it and everything. And I even showed her. It was funny because I took a video of one of my chihuahuas doing the exact same thing, reaching over a chair to grab what was on top of the chair. Right. So to me, that was like, well, there's no difference. You have a little dog reaching over the chair with his, paw, his forelegs to pull what it wanted back. No difference. But then she began to tell me that people were showing, or saying that they had human type fingers and stuff like that. So I kind of shifted on things. But when I got to Wisconsin, my mind was on my new job for the state, and by then my then wife was pregnant, so things when it came to research was out the door. Until that one time when I heard that howl, brought me right back to Linda Godfrey's messages, right? So I went into into Facebook. Back then there was one old one that was a Dogman Mystery. And I kind of go on there and this and that, and like you were saying prior, all heard was evil. These things were bad. These things were dangerous. These things were, don't look for them, whatever. And you had a lot of things back then, like they can tag you, and they were gonna, bother you for the rest of your life. You couldn't take a picture of them because they were gonna come in and bother you, and then a whole number of things, right, that people believed back then. Fast forward, I'd probably say a year, 2 years after that howl, right? I'm in my, we're inside. It's summertime. Actually, it's springtime. We would buy these 42, cases of bottle from Walmart. And so I was going to the car to pick up these cases to buy. And from the front of the yard, now we had acres in the middle of cornfields, right? So we lived in the outskirts of a small town, and so our road wasn't heavily traveled whatsoever, right? So I went outside to grab this, this container of water and this pack of water, and I see these eyes shine towards me, low to the ground, just walking towards me. And I'm trying to focus, like, what the heck is that? And I'm opening the trunk and I'm pulling up, and I keep looking back, crawling towards me. And my first thought was, because the people that rented the place prior had left a black cat. So I'm thinking, well, the cat's coming towards me, right? Because it was crawling like a cat, right? Really low to the ground, just crawling. But then I'm saying to myself, wait a minute, this cat is skittish as can be. My dogs have already chased this cat. It's not just going to walk up to me. So that kind of gave me this thought, well, is it the cat or isn't the cat? So I got the first case, brought it inside, came back with a headlamp, and now this thing is staying out of reach of the headlamp. Every time I go forward, it would go backwards. And I go back, and then it would go forward again. And we were going back and forth. At one point, I got like, okay, enough is enough. What the heck are you? So I just walked right up to it. And it went right back in reverse while still looking at me, straight back. It went straight back, I'm going to say a good probably 40 feet, just straight backwards. There's a tree right in the corner of where the road turns into the driveway. And this thing's eyes, because you can see a silhouette once it got there. This thing's eyes went straight up, but then it stood there. And I'm looking at the silhouette. It's like, am I seeing this right? Right? And it shoots up that tree like a freaking black bear. Like no hesitation, no, I'm trying to climb this thing up. It just went straight up. And you can hear part of the branches breaking down. So now I'm at the what the hell moment. Walked back, grabbed the case, walked inside, and I came back outside because now I'm curious. And because when I left to go inside, I can see the eye shine on top watching me. So I'm like, okay, let me go back outside. What is this thing? And by the time I got back, it was gone. Just gone. And that was like I want to say like a Wednesday maybe. And during that Thursday, Friday, my next door neighbor, so it was like a kind of duplex side by side. He had gone. Him and his wife were having some marital problems, and they went on a walk to talk about things, right? And so from the house, half a mile down the road, there's a trail, a very popular trail in Wisconsin, goes into the Horicon Marsh. So they went up to the trail and then walked down the trail for half a mile. And then, okay, no, they're a mile out down the road, it's dark. They kind of have a little flashlight. So they walk backwards. And when they come back, now this is him telling me, right? Because I told him probably on that Sunday we went to go pick up, I think it was a piece of furniture from Marketplace. And so I'm telling him, just joking around, hey, listen, the other day I saw this and that. Watch out when you're out there at nighttime. And goes, well, this and this happened to me. So what happened to him was, as he was coming back, he was being paralleled in the woods, him and his wife, to the point that his wife got scared, and they both stopped to pray. As they walked, it's still paralleling them. He got to the pavement, and as he's walking on the pavement, now, the straightaway home, he's hearing click, 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 click on the pavement. So he swings around with his flashlight, doesn't see nothing. As he gets slightly forward, he turns around again into the tree line, and he sees 5 sets of eye shines. 4 of them were amber, 1 of them was red. And so I told him, well, how tall were the eye shines? I'm thinking coyote, maybe wolves. And he says, no, they're probably about 6 or 7 feet off the ground.
Oh, Lord.
So I'm like, okay, did you hear anything? Oh, well, yeah. I heard. So he gives me this. He tries to explain it. Now I'm thinking, okay, maybe Bigfoot. So I went into YouTube and looked up famous YouTube howls, whatever, and I started showing him that, and nothing. Nope, no, not that. Nope, not that. No, 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 not that. So I'm like, okay. Since I had heard the American werewolf howl, let me go check. Right. So I went into the American Dogman, the North American Dogman Project. He had 3 howls back then on his audio. When I play one of his audios, his eyeballs just went. You can see all his hairs go up, and I knew, shit.
Right. No,
Right.
that's the right answer.
Right. Great. That's what you heard. Yeah. That's what I heard. And then he mentioned about it sounded like they were laughing. That kind of confused me until probably that same year. Dogman does this. It's like a loon. You know what a loon is, right? A bird.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
like it's part of a loon call that turns into a hyena cackle. That's what he was trying to describe at the moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I heard that personally that same year towards the fall. And so we started talking. So my brain goes, okay, Dogman, did you really see that? Right? Was he making stuff up? And the following week, I'm on my day off. I'm outside. Me and my wife are outside, and I'm watering something. And all of a sudden, this guy comes around the house. It's about 4 or 5 in the afternoon. Comes running around the house. Imagine a little kid who's excited about telling mom and dad something, right? Except this is a full-grown
Right.
man running across around the house, running towards me. Ricky. Now, mind you, he's coming from home, so I can just imagine him all day at work, with this excitement of having to tell me because he has just ran a mile or something. That's excited he was. So he goes around and he tells me, "I saw it this morning. I saw it this morning." Whoa, time out. What did you see? So it was trash day, and back then we didn't have bins. So what we would do is we would take the trash to the front of the property, and the trucks would pick them up. Later on, we got bins, but in that moment in time, there were just trash bags in the front. He goes to work. He'd leave work probably around 3:30 to 4 o'clock. So he gets up, puts the trash in his pickup truck, rides to the front, goes around to the pickup to the back of the truck, grabs the trash cans, and goes and puts them on the curb. As he's going to the
Mm-hmm.
curb, he sees that his lights are flickering. So as he's putting them down, he's thinking probably coyotes or something's in front of the pickup truck. As he turns around to go towards the front of the pickup truck to see, he has a Dogman semi-squatted in front of his pickup truck.
Oh,
He looks at it, slides back towards the driver's door, gets in, and drives off. That one happens to be the Alpha, which is the female. It was a black they had some white stripes that come down from the ears, the back of the ears, all the way down to the chest. These Dogmans, we were the first ones to track because that one went on a tracking sprint. And so these same Dogmen were seen by a couple in the Horicon Marsh probably 3 years prior. The same 2 Dogmen, the black one with the white stripes, and then it has a partner which is like a brown with black tips on the hairs.
mm-hmm.
And those 2 are like always together. Then I tracked down another eyewitness that saw the same Dogman with the same stripe when it was younger, probably 3 feet tall, from southern Illinois. No, sorry, from northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin. He's a truck driver. And when he saw them, they were looking or in somebody's house, in somebody's as he's driving the trucks. So some might say, well, how do you know it's the same Dogman? Because stripes, right? These what we call markings on an animal are genetics. No two markings will ever be the same. Animals' genetics or creatures' genetics and creatures' environment, what they eat, are the only two things that affect how a stripe becomes or how a patch or a marking becomes. And no two animals are ever identical, right? Because no two
Right.
animals will ever have the same way of eating, the same way of, how they live.
Mhm.
Um, so that started my Dogman journey because again, when you go on Facebook, you were getting all this. They're evil. Don't search for them. The hell I'm not. They're freaking in my backyard, right? Like I gotta know something, right? So I said, well, screw all this, right? Screw it. I want to research them my damn self, and I
Mhm.
became a solo researcher, right? Because everybody else was telling me, don't, no, 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 no. And I'm saying yes, 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 because they're in my backyard.
Absolutely.
During that, during the whole year, every time I go to take out the dog, there's the eye shine. Oh, there he is. Oh, there he is. Like hello. How you mean not to search him, to research them?
Mhm.
I have to. Um, that led to, I think, the biggest scare in my life. Was so my ex-wife, now my ex-wife, back then, she accidentally set the house on fire. Um,
Oh.
she set the kitchen on fire. So the house was saved. The kitchen needed new flooring, and new cabinets. So my parents were coming over, and so I began to remodel the whole kitchen. Took out the aluminum floors, to put new floors, take out the cabinets, put new cabinets in. And during that time, I had left a utility knife outside in the old cabinet. Now, on the back side of the house, there's no spotlights, there's no nothing. The only light that is available is what's inside the house in the kitchen when it goes through the glass. So I went outside and I'm looking for the knife because my told me I believe it's in the cabinet. So as I go out there again, I don't have a flashlight. So I see the outline of the cabinet through the shadows and through the reflection of the light. I'm looking with my hands and I pick up the knife. I get this massive fight or flight feeling,
Oof.
like that dread feeling.
Hate
And
that.
I'm being in directions. Your first thought is look behind you now.
Mhm.
So when
Mhm.
I spun around, I have a white dog man peeking on the side of the house,
A
which
white
now
one.
happens to be a white one, which happens to be now my neighbor's side. He's peeking, right? I see his head and part of his shoulder as he's peeking around. And I'm like, okay, if you're there, let me not give my back to the other side. I know damn well there's something else on the other side. Now my back is kind of to the house, and I'm looking this way, I'm looking that way. And on this, I see a black shadow coming out of the cornfields.
Oh
Now it's
no.
the what the hell moment, right? I got one over here and
Mhm.
I got one over there. As I'm froze, I'm gonna say, right? Because now you don't know what to do, right? I had a wife and kid inside. There was no way I was gonna scream. During this process, I see three more coming from the in front of me, cornfield.
Oh.
So the whole five, the whole clan had showed up.
Uh-uh.
My heart was like, run, but I can't because the door, if I open that door, like dude's there. I got over here. How fast I get to the door to lock it before I'm caught? I can't open the door because if I open the door and they catch me, my kid and wife are inside. So I close my eyes. Don't ask me what went through my head. It was the switching of the switch of, well, let's fight. Now, obviously, I can't fight no damn dog man with a damn utility knife. It doesn't matter what you have in your hands. Like, you're not physically going to fight, right? A hand-to-hand combat with five dog men. But in my brain was, if this is all I have, this is all I have. Right? So I started talking to myself. And I probably swore a bunch of times in my head. But I did say out loud in audible voice, this is my house, back off. As I grabbed the utility knife from the cabinet, from the inside top of the cabinet, now it's in my hands, now it's visible. And I'm like, I said it about 2 or 3 times, this is my house, back off. I did not say that because I thought they knew what I was saying. It was more of a hype to me of, let's go. Right? But I learned something that day. Because I stood my ground, they all went back into the cornfield.
Oh, wow.
Gone. Right? Now, I wasn't yelling. I wasn't screaming. I wasn't taunting them. It was more of a calmer voice of saying, back off. This is my house. Firm but steady. My body language was straight as an arrow. Like, I wasn't in a fighting stance. No, it was just a calm, assertive, back off. And I learned that day. How shook was I? When I walked in, I sat down. So when you walk into the step, the sliding door is on top of that step. So I sat down on that step. My wife was coming out of the bathroom, and she literally stopped and looked at me and said, "What's going on?" And I'm shaking. My hands are shaking. And I looked at her. No, nothing. I'm just tired. And she can tell, right? And I'm not somebody to shake, right? And she was like, "There's something wrong." And I'm just tired. I just want to finish this and go to bed. Fair enough. I stopped the remodeling, took a shower, and went straight to bed. Didn't tell my wife anything else. I think she found out physically via my neighbor, the wife. But I kept on telling her, listen, I want you to bring in the dog before night falls. Do not go outside at nighttime. If you have the dog have to go to the bathroom, open the door, let him out, watch him, and call him back in. If something works, stay inside the house. I never told her what. It was just follow these rules. So that kind of also sparked a curiosity in her. Like, why are you telling me this for? Right? So, but that right there was like the moment in time where it's like, okay, they backed away. So I'm assuming I did this right. But what else can I do to make things better to live there? And that whole year, they would come in like every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, sometimes Sundays, or every weekend. They went to every other weekend. They would show up. They walked behind me as I'm walking toward the kennel, right? Like I'd walk towards the kennel from the house because it was a slight distance. As I'm walking, you'd hear them, and I'm not crazy, but I would point backwards as I'm walking forward and says, knock it off. I know you're behind me. And you would hear the pitter-patters going straight back into the cornfield. Stuff like that began to tell me something about my attitude, how I looked at things, and how they would respond to it. That sent me in going into, because back then, the Vic Cundiff show with Dogman Encounter. And I went from episode 1, 2, 3, 4, like I went all the way up. In every episode, I never listened to eyewitness emotions. I felt scared. I felt that no. I can care less about the person's feelings. I was looking at what the man did, what the person did, and the response.
Absolutely.
That's all I care about, right? And I'm saying it like this now. Obviously, we care about the person's, today we do care about the person's emotions, but back then, I can care less about your emotions. I didn't care if you were scared. I didn't care if you were dreaded. None of that. I wanted to know what you did, how they responded, what you did after that, and how they responded after that. And I learned really quick that everything you were hearing on the podcast and how it was being portrayed was not what was happening. And people will tell me, well, how do you know that? You can't go into their heads. True, I can't go into a dogman's head, but just the way a police officer can get to a scene and says, you were speeding and you were probably going this fast because of the skid marks and how the accident happened, you can tell a person's mindset by what he did prior, during, and after an event. I began to do the same thing. So, for instance, oh, they like to smile at you. They're evil. They know they're scaring you, so they smile at you. But when you look at the behavior, for the most part, the dogman or the person didn't know the dogman was there. The person all of a sudden realizes the dogman was there. The dogman smiles. Here's the catch. The person freezes. It freezes while still smiling and slowly walks away. Slowly turns around. Sometimes gets back on four and walks away slowly. So now, okay, if I'm trying to scare you, wouldn't me acting fast be more scary than being slow? Then I looked at, okay, what other living creatures smile? And I realized everything smiles under stress and anxiety. Humans do it, chimps do it, dogs do it, cats do it. Everything smiles under stress and anxiety, right? If you look at so-called, back then, I'm thinking this is canine, right? Mostly canine or whatever. But my brain was canine. Canines, when they're stressed and anxious because they don't know the person, they might show their teeth and slowly turns around to walk away because he doesn't want nothing bad to happen. So he's trying to scope you out while trying to get himself as farther away from you as possible. And then when we saw with the eyewitnesses was that once he got that distance, then it would go, leave, run. Well, okay, that behavior, if you analyze it and break it down, is not what that person is thinking. Is definitely not what the podcaster is saying is going on, right? You don't need a rocket scientist. You just got to have enough common sense to understand and listen. If you look at these now, my background was dealing with criminals and inmates, so I have I had to learn and study human behaviors and all this other stuff to keep myself safe. So I'm looking at it from that background, but at the same time, it's like these are little things that wait a minute, that's not. Why did it do this? And then there was other things that happened. And I'm breaking it down, and I started going into the woods because I went to where the sightings of my clan was being set, and it was like in a semicircle on the lower part of the Horicon Marsh. I remember one day I went to an area because there was little teepee structures in this park, and later on I realized the teepee structures were caused by them. So they kind of make the same, not all the structures, but they do sometimes make some Bigfoot type structures, just miniature. It's always smaller scaled, right? So we had these two teepee type structures in this park, and it was interesting enough that it was headed towards like a path type of thing. So I went in there. I went through the teepees and went in there, and one day I first walked in there, and I'm like looking around, and okay, well, you know what? So what I did was my brain, right? And I didn't realize this because I'm learning. I'm doing and finding out what happens to say, well, that shit didn't work, or okay, that worked, right?
Yeah, right.
So I grabbed one of my T-shirts and I broke it down, and I sprayed it with my cologne. And the idea was go into the woods where you kind of know that they're there and place your scent on there and then walk out. Why? My thought process was I want them to get an idea or to understand my smell, who I am. Right? So when I'm walking around this area, because this is how I smell, they will know, oh yeah, this is so and so. Right? We do it with every other living creature. Right? It's just a sense of familiarity with the sounds and the person that's coming in and out. That didn't go so well.
Oh.
Right? When I had it, I was putting it on top of the tree, and all of a sudden, I see my fingers. Something came from my right side, semicircle and straight towards me.
Oh.
Now you have a lot of vegetation on both sides. I can't see this thing. I can hear it. And you can hear this large thing just go around and straight. At one point, there's a fallen tree and there's a lot of vegetation there. And my brain was saying, you're right there. I can't see you because of the tree and all the vegetation, but you're there. And when I'm focusing on this area, trying to see through the vegetation and trying to see under, and around, so, this deadfall tree, from my left side comes another fast-moving object.
Ooh.
All the way around. Now I have, imagine the velociraptors from Jurassic Park. So side to side. So I stuck my hands out way before the Jurassic movie. Stuck my hand out. Guys, calm down. And I started backing away. So I started acting the way I would act at home. Oh, with a little bit more motion because I'm in their turf. And right now you're both surrounding me. So I know there's one on my left and one on my right. And the one on my right, like you're freaking there. I can throw a wiffle ball at you and hit you. Right? I can't see you because you're behind all this crap, but I know you're there. So I set my hands out, started talking, and I started stepping back. And I got out. That was the end. Later on, I went some of our group team members. He's an ex-ranger, he animal tracker. We went there at time, I don't know, probably 11:30. Mind you that where this was is there's Indian mountains in this park. Right, so people call me crazy for going to the Indian Mountain area at nighttime. Like, why? But anyways, so we there's a picnic table before going into the park and going into the trails. And there's an area where you can cook some stuff. It's not designed for a lot of. So basically, if you go there and somebody's already using it, well, you can't go use it because there's not. It's just one large. But anyways, we sat down there. My buddy had made some homemade parabolics, which worked great. That night, so we were sitting there, and what we heard, right? Because it all started, everything was audible. Later on, some things became visible, but most of it was all through audio. First thing we realized is all the birds left the park. You can visually and audibly hear all the birds leaving the area. And I looked at my buddy and says, "Have you said all the birds are like all flying out and we're not hearing the birds anymore?" Yeah, you're right. Okay. Night fell. I'm looking toward the right, and I'm seeing two eye shines coming and going from a tree. And I told, "Hey, looks that way. Tell me what you see." So he looks that way, and sure enough, he sees the eye shine coming in from a tree. Now I put the parabolics on to hear. One comes out and is in front of us. Mind you, this is full coverage of tree and bushes, but through audio, you can hear him coming, moving, and now you can hear him breathing in front of us.
Ooh.
All of a sudden, he saw this way and saw this way. They went around us and towards our back. Then we have one that's in front of us. He's huffing. He's and I'm like, I would look at him, like, Randy, are you hearing this? Yeah. Okay. And you saw the one that went that way? Yeah. And I saw the one that went that way. Okay. So we sat there, and so now we have two on our sides, one in front of us. We don't know where the other, two are, because the clan is composed of 5. All of a sudden, we hear the half of that loon call, and where we're at, there's no lakes. It's just a darn park and cornfields all around, right? So we shouldn't hear any loons. So we hear that loon call, and all of a sudden you hear through the audio the two on the sides go back towards the one that's huffing and looking at us from where we don't know. He's in front of us, right? Audibly, we can hear that he's in front of us. Then you can hear another vocalization, and you hear each one running away, right? All 4 ran away, and then the one that stayed, you hear it huffing, I'm going to say deeper. All of a sudden, it started moving, and you hear less of the huff. And they all left. When they left, me and Randy looked at each other and says, well, today came out to be a very nice day. And we got up and left. We were done for the day because we got what we wanted, right? And we knew that they were at that park. So we began to hear audios, different shifts. There's so many audios, and people focus on, like, for instance, the hyena cackle. Well, that has to be the hyena type. No, they all do it. I don't care what you're looking at. If it's a wolf type or, whatever type you want to call, they all do it. The ones our clan, if you looked at them properly, you had probably 3 of them looked at one way. One of them, wolf type. They were all wolf types, but one stood up straight like the Van Helsing type. He would stand up completely straight up. And if you look at him, you do a double take. Because he was like, is it human? No, that's not a human. That's a, right? Because it would just stand up like completely straight. Some of them kind of stood up, but they were more hunched over when they walked versus just a straight up. But they were all wolf type, as if we're gonna give that definition. But they do the hyena call, the hyena cackle, right? Just fine. None of them were spotted. so I don't, people focus too much on slight details. So length of ears, length of muzzle, coloring, like, none of that matters. And I posted this the other day. Linda Godfrey said it, when she was alive, that there's seems to be 2 phenomena, as she calls it, right? But that's, one was stood up like the Wilson or the Anubis god, which is the one that stands up more straighter. And I've been saying that for a while, way before I heard this audio from Linda Godfrey. But I've been saying that for years, and I got that from an eyewitness, which I went to visit, right? And so the eyewitness was telling me that Mom looked at like this and Dad like that, 2 different types of structures. I'm looking at things as structures. So when he said that, then I began to analyze, okay, what have I seen and what structures have I seen? And he comes to realize there's only 2 structures. There's a huge amount of variations with the length of ears, facial features or whatever. But structurally, overall, you have 2 structures. So that's where I get my the so-called types. But they all breed each other. So once you breed to each other, you're going to get a different type of structure. You might get one that is in between. Right? So it's like, okay, so then now what? And if dad has longer ears and mom has shorter ears, well, your pup might come out with medium ears. Now what? Right? Well, mom has a short bushy tail or a short hyena tail, and dad has a long bushy tail. Now you're gonna get what? Something in between? Like now what? You're gonna create a different type, a different
Right.
look? I mean, I've seen pie pad colors, white with brown patches. I've seen black with the white stripes. I've seen brown with black tips. You know, there's brindle ones out there. Where do all these colors come from? This is what we were talking about the other day about
Mm-hmm.
how certain beliefs of where they came from quite doesn't add up to the amount of massive of colors and variations,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because as a living creature, every Europeaner looks the same. You know, you have little things here and there. Okay, Europeans look like Europeans. Russians look like Russians. Puerto Ricans look like Puerto Ricans. Mexicans look like Mexicans. Chinese look Chinese. Koreans look like Koreans, right? Because throughout the years,
Right.
that's what has been established. So why is it that you have a creature that supposedly been around since the beginning of time, and you have so many stinking colors, variations throughout everything? Because in Wisconsin, you had a clan where mom. This is where mines came from. Mom was extremely tall, and all the other ones were smaller than she was. So you had a size difference, a huge size difference. Well, obviously, their offsprings are going to are some of them might be in between, some of them might be taller, some of them might be shorter. But within that region, one day the brindle one showed up with like a Doberman type hair, and I mean short hair. Brindle head, Doberman type head, short hair, and brindle. Where in the world did that come from? Because you live in lower Wisconsin, like you're gonna freeze your butt. What do you do during the wintertime? Because the rest of them have coyote, wool type hair, and you have short Doberman hair, and it's
Right.
brindle. Like where do you live? Just if you've been in this area for hundreds of years, how have you adopted the short, thin hair?
Right. That would be like a warmer climate. It feels. I
Right,
feel like the things that live in the colder climates, they would, like even dogs, they grow a winter coat.
right.
Yeah.
No, this thing had short brindle hair, just like a Doberman, right? And then you have some in the Navajo Nation. We had an eyewitness from there, and this is where we just wait. We have an eyewitness in the in the res. Time to ask those questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it just happened, and the dude had a family member. Let's just say that a family member who they knew he knows about skinwalkers, and he knows what skinwalkers are, how to get to that, blah blah blah. And full PM message, and talking to him, he tells us straight out, skinwalkers and dogmen are not the same. I don't know what the hell a dogman is. Okay, so the first comes from one in the res, younger generation, because all the older generations, with all due respect, all the older generations are really engraved in the superstition, so they don't want to talk to you about dogmen.
Right. They
And the
won't.
associated with
Yep.
right, the associated with skinwalkers, and because they don't want to talk about it to realize that it's not, then we're left with they are right.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's your newer generation, the younger bucks that are not really fully engraved in the old traditions, that still find it hard to talk about it because they're not supposed to, but they still do because they're living
Mm-hmm.
it and they want to talk about it to get it off their chest.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So when you people, they're a jewel because
Absolutely, they are.
they're in there. They know. So when I have 2 or 3 messages from Native Americans telling me, no, I don't know what in the hell a Dogman is. We know what a Skinwalker is. This is not a Skinwalker, right? Boom! It's like, okay, right track. Okay, so we get this, right? And so, but so being in Arizona, you would think you'd have some that are shorter hair, right? No,
Mhm.
the one that he had, because this was a case of him, his wife had a baby, and this is what caused this Dogman to show up, was that change of that environment. Once things got fixed, mom bought her 2 pups. Right now, this is going to tie into the 5 types, right? When dad describes mom, there is no doubt that in his description, you can tell that it's the so-called soldier type. This dude description of the mom's head, okay, was a 55-gallon drum on its side. That is a big ass head.
Mm-hmm.
When he describes this thing, the massiveness, the size of it, right? He says it wasn't humongously tall, it was just massive. When finally we got the whole environment back to normal, mom in her 2 cubs or 2 pups or 2, whatever you want to call them, right?
Right.
Brought them in. You know what the 2 pups look like?
Mm-mm.
They wear skinny wolf type things.
Hmm.
So wait a minute. So mom is this massive thing. Her 2 pups, he says they were the same height as mom, but they were skinny and they looked like wolves, large upright wolves, completely different from mom. That's another. Well, where's the genetic? Because how is mom throwing skinny little things, right?
Right.
So then realize growth differences, right? So what some people might be looking at might be a younger Dogman versus an older Dogman versus in a complete old, right? So from pup to maturity, adult to old. And what we realize is they keep getting heavier, like some massive breeds or even some big cats. As older they get, they kind of get a few more pounds on them. Their heads are still kind of growing, right? And they don't grow height wise, but they get thicker.
Mm-hmm.
And then pups will have like their paws or their hands are like bigger in size. Their feet are bigger in size. Their heads are bigger in size than their bodies. So they look like any other large breed puppy, with their massive paws and large heads and skinny bodies. So I love to hear people tell me, well, that's too small for a Dogman. Like, so Dogman don't grow up. So Dogmen aren't born little tykes, you know. And then obviously they fill out. But type things has always gotten to me, and again, eyewitnesses are very special to me because a good eyewitness has allowed me to enter their homes, enter their properties, research without disturbing nothing, not only fix their problems, but then we pick up on certain behaviors. And then those behaviors, we're able to go out into a different site, practice those behaviors, right? Or what we were seeing to see how they respond, right? And then we continue to collect this information and continue to apply in a different state, in a different area. Because a lot of stuff that we apply might be applied in the field from what we gathered from an eyewitness, and we realize, how does these guys do when I do this? And so that's how it is gathered, right? Because what is a fact? A fact is when you can duplicate something. And so when we're able to duplicate response times, duplicate reactions and outcomes, then we know we have something in the bag when it comes to actual behaviors. And it's that's the way we do stuff. And I've seen Dogman throughout the states. We've done things throughout the states. The first time we collected, or not collected, that I called in a Dogman was in Tennessee, where I came down here to visit a researcher. So it was a hunch. So I was back in Wisconsin. I was scrolling through TikTok, and this person had an audio that has been slowed down. As I'm playing on phone, my two chihuahuas came running towards me with waggy tails and like a happy expression. My bulldog began to bark like in this prey bark, like "Let me out! I want to play too." So my brain was like, "Okay, this sounds completely distorted. It's in slow motion, but y'all guys think it's playtime, and the slow motion doesn't even sound like dogs playing. Right? It sounds totally distorted." So I bought a Bluetooth speaker, and when I came to Tennessee, I told the others, "Are you down for something?" Like, "Yeah, sure." So we went to, and I'll say the park, Beeman Park, in Tennessee, and there's the parking lot. You gotta drive up. It's like on top of the hill or mountain, I'm gonna call it. So we parked there. It was, I don't know, 12 o'clock night, 12:30. I put the Bluetooth speaker on top, right? And we had this bionic ear that amplifies the noise. So she had one and I had an earbud, and it was also on top. And I came up with a sequence. I came up with it there at the park. It was just something. And so she's sitting next to me, and all of a sudden I played a sequence, and we're seeing figures, tall figures, going in front of us. And I'm looking, and I don't want to say nothing, and she's looking, and she's not saying nothing. And so all of a sudden, "Are you seeing what I'm seeing in front of the car?" This is like minutes later, and he goes, "Yeah, I didn't want to say nothing. So I thought seeing things." Like, no, they're there. So on audio, besides hearing them moving, you hear the what I call them pitter patters going back and forth. Now we begin to hear something coming from the bottom, because you're on top, everything goes down. From the bottom up. So we had one coming from our 3 o'clock, one coming from our 6 o'clock, and one coming I'd say probably from the 8 o'clock. And you hear the one that's coming from our 6 o'clock, he's gunning it. And you can hear he's the heaviest thing alive. And you hear that dunk, 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 as he's coming up. And I got a Kool-Aid smile. My brain is saying, this shit actually worked. Like, what the hell? This thing's exciting. And as I'm focused on the ones that are moving in front, we're both hearing this massive thing just bolting up the hill. And I'm looking, I'm not focused on her. And all of a sudden, I look to the side, and she's freaking out. She has her knees on her chest, her feet on the seat, and she's grabbing her knees with her head tucked up in her arms. And I looked at her and I touched her, and she like snapped out of it. And it's like, "Are you okay?" "No." "Do you want to leave?" "Yeah." "Okay, we'll leave." So as I'm lowering the window, "What are you doing?" It's like, "I gotta get my Bluetooth speakers on top of the car." "Well, hurry up." So I lowered the window, grabbed the Bluetooth speaker, put it in the car, and we left. We came back the next morning, and sure enough, from that side, as we walked down the actual hill, not the path, you see the scuff marks of the leaves being pushed out as this thing ran up, and you can
Right.
see it as it, boom, boom, as it was coming up. And then the park ranger showed up, and this dude followed us out probably, I'm going to say probably 3 miles after we left the park. Like
I
he's,
bet so. Mm-hmm.
like,
They know.
yeah,
They know.
you were here yesterday causing trouble, so
Mm-hmm.
um, we didn't go back back to that park to do stuff like that. But that night we played the audio 3 times, no, 4 times in 4 different areas, and out of the 4 times, 3 we got visual hits of the
Mm-hmm.
Dogman coming in. So that was a game changer. Later on, through another researcher and more researching, we realized that okay, it may not just be the audio, but the topography on where I am playing this at, which then plays a large part in research and where to find Dogman at certain specific time during the night. So for me, once I figured that out, I can say with 100% accuracy that if I go on a specific time frame to a specific type of photography and I play this vocalization, you'll get a Dogman come in.
Right.
And I said we've done that in Wisconsin, Illinois. I've done it in Kentucky. Like
So
it's going to, yeah.
these things are everywhere, just like Bigfoot are everywhere.
Yep. Yep. And what people don't realize is they live closer to homes than we'll think.
Oh yeah, I already figured that out about Bigfoot too.
I
By
mean,
listening to other people's
mm-hmm.
stuff, you patterns develop, so you learn their behavior from listening to other people. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah,
you don't have to go deep in the woods to see anything. They'll come to you, basically.
yeah, and then like I was telling you, the reason we know this is because, well, so I was not to get into the basics of when when I realized that in research, but once the bad activity starts happening and once the activity is cleared and everything goes back to normal, the Dogman, the adults, then allow their pups to come into the yard and frolic in the yard. And every eyewitness that has had those situations will tell you that at one point in time they saw pups come into the yard. Right? So as humans, and we analyze what if a living creature, any living creature, doesn't matter what it is, allows their kids, their pups, their cubs to frolic and spend time in something else's yard, it means they trust that person or they trust that
Mm-hmm.
environment, to allow
Yep.
them to stay there. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had things happen with pups, stealing meat from the eyewitness. We had one pup that walked into a lady's house and it scared, let's just say it scared shit out of her.
I bet.
But he walked into her house. She was face to face with it because she had fallen asleep. So she put her kids to sleep. She prepped their meals for the next day for school. She forgot to close her door. She went to her bedroom. Oh, she had gotten a picture of this pup prior. And this is when, back in the days, if they catch taking a picture, they're gonna kill you or they're gonna harm you. So she laid under her bed. So her bed, there's a door in front of her, and that door you can see the kitchen and the door that goes outside.
Mm-hmm.
She had laid on her bed to doom scroll. Right, it was late. She was just trying to get herself tired to bed. She knew she had to pick up the kitchen and pick up, close the door, but she was in her bed. She got woken up because this thing walked in through the kitchen, walked into her bedroom, and now it's hovering over her head.
Oh Lord.
Looked at the phone, and when she took the picture, she passes out, which is a medical thing when you're on high stress. So there's nothing magical about that. She passes out. She wakes up, The phone is still there, and the Dogman had left.
That would have scared me to death.
Well, it scared her unconscious.
I guess so. I got questions too about
go ahead,
the
go ahead,
Dogman that you've seen. So these things run in packs, like coyotes and wolves and things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mostly. You never see one by yourself. Clans.
I call them
never
clans
usually see
because.
one just. Oh, go ahead.
No. So there are situations where one of the members grows up and decides to travel and make their own clan. Sometimes they'll travel. I said sometimes, there's a lot of nuances to this. Sometimes they'll take one of the other clan members to go with them. When this happens, you'll notice that when they come into the new environment, the eyewitness will normally realize that things go quiet. Right? There's not much noises, and they'll say that everything disappeared. There was no during this time frame. There was no whatever. It can be one. Normally, sometimes it can be two. These are just the ones forming a new pack. Why do things go quiet? Because it's a new predator in town, and the animals there don't know what this thing is. So because they don't know what these things are, they don't know its patterns. Things go quiet. Things don't frolic around like they used. Because there's a new stranger in town. I don't know what it is, so everything goes quiet. Once, it might happen a week, might happen 2 weeks. During that time frame, you might hear deer being killed or stuff being killed. Again, it's a new predator trying to figure out what's happening, or the patterns of the deers and whatnot. Once that is over with, the sounds come back, the deer come back, your rabbits come back, everything comes back. Right? Because now everything realizes where they stand when it comes to patterns and who are you and this and that. Like I said, sometimes it's one or two that are looking for new territory, but in an established clan, you'll probably have 5. An average of 5.
That's what I was wondering. And also, the ones that you've been seeing, do they have manes?
So yes, manes mean yes. Some of them have manes. Some of them have a longer manes than short manes. A lot of times, some of them, their so-called hump makes their hair look like fluffier than what it actually is because of the structure of their bodies. But yes, for the most part, the older ones have manes. I've seen some that don't have a big on them. They're fluffy, they're foofy, but it's not like this mane. And I'm assuming age will probably play a role in. But yeah.
And these things run on all fours mostly. They just are on 2 legs to scout.
So two legs are when there's a human presence. Obviously, they can run on 2 legs. Yes, they can do it efficiently. Sure. But when you talk to and you ask the right questions to the eyewitness, you realize that they have to do things to be able to be in that position. Like you'll see their shoulders fold up or fold back, right? You'll see them when they stand up, shift their lower part, which gave the expression that they were transforming, right? So you see that there's an actual and comfortability. It's not a simple boom, get up, which led to something else that is so when they get up, you'd hear bones pop, like people that back in the days. Oh, they're cracking their bones, and because of this so-called shift, people, oh no, they're transforming. No, this is. So imagine an older person sitting down in a chair for a prolonged period of time. When they gets up, their knees crack, their knees pop. The joints collect the fluid. If you're in a position for a period of time, that fluid gets larger. Once you shift that position, that shifting pops that fluid, and you hear the popping sound. Older people that stand in a long position for a prolonged period of time have more chances of having pop, 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 pop every time they get up. Young ones do not have that popping sounds. Kids
Mm-hmm.
5, 6, 7, 10 years old don't have that popping sound. Why? Because they're not sitting down in a prolonged period of time. They're always moving. Even if they're eating, they're always moving. Right? So when we hear the Dogman, and this is where research came in, what I was noticing was, okay, how many times have I heard a pop? Very few. Older ones, pop, pop, pop. So, okay, wait a second. It was not about a transformation because even younger ones, when they have to get up shifting into the position, you don't hear popping sounds. So that means that you're going up and down freely multiple times, rather it be because of human presence, rather it be because you're hunting, or you're just up and climbing trees and jumping down and doing all this other stuff, always free moving. Old ones, mostly are on all fours, under certain exceptions. But if you're hearing the popping, that's because that dude that you just watched has probably spent a long time on fours, and now because of you, he has to go back on two legs, which is causing the popping sound.
Makes sense. And then I want you to talk about what we were talking about on the phone, the red eye shine.
So the red eye shine has to do with elevated blood flow to the capillaries of the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Every living creature that has a shine can have red eye shine. Right? It has nothing to do with evilness. It has nothing to do with deers don't have, or no, your dog can have red eye shine. It has to do with elevated high blood pressure in the system. So their capillaries have a higher amount of blood. When the light hits it, it reflects back red. So when I'm in the field and I see red eye shine, this gentleman walks out.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because there are certain things that may cause high blood pressure that is not good, right? Because the dogman in front of me might be playing with a sibling, wrestling with a sibling before I got there. Cool. You were just playing. Red eye shine. Nothing to worry about. You guys were playing. But I don't know that. What if you were just chasing down prey? What if you were just in a fight? Right? All these things. If you're chasing prey, not only is in the way of your food, but now you're in an elevated state of mind because you were hunting. If you were in a fight, you're probably still pissed off. And if you lost, now you're wounded. So now you're still a danger. So
Mm-hmm.
when I see red eye shine, I don't care from what cryptid it is, that's my cue to saying the night will be over. I go back, either back home or back to my tent.
Right. And you usually see what color eye shine when they're not stressed.
Your typical amber. Some young ones have blue eye shine, which are the most beautiful eye shine I've ever seen. Are the blue ones? They tend to be the younger ones, and that's not nothing out of the norm. If you just Google your basic critters, tigers, dogs, whatever, right? Blue eye shine tend to be because their eyes are not fully developed yet, right? So when you see blue eye shine, the ones I've seen that I know on specifically, the eyewitnesses have seen them since they were pups. Okay, you're still you're still growing, you're still not fully developed, which is interesting because if you're looking down the barrel or that down your eyesight on a 9-10 foot dogman and you have blue eye shine, your brain is saying, "What do you mean he's not fully developed? The dude's 9 foot tall. His brain and his insides are not fully developed, right? So he might act like a pup. He might be a lot more curious. He might want to chase you a bit to see what you're about, right? It doesn't mean that he wants to kill you. He's a pup."
Right.
And sure enough, I mean, I've my house. I've had some that are. If you throw one time I threw a white 5-gallon bucket lids This is the first thing I had next to me to my cattle dog to play frisbee at nighttime. Forget it. That sparked interest in them. I was that I was seeing eyes shine like freaking fireflies. Like, okay, I guess the white cap is sparking your curiosity, you know. But the eye shine, red, I'm out. Blue, be more precautious, not because they're dangerous, simply because you have
Juveniles.
a juvenile, and juveniles are curious. Juveniles can be mischievous, you know. But normally, amber eyes is only what you see. One time they were like more clear white, but I think that had to do with our lights versus it actually having that. But those are the three are the reds, the amber eyes, and the blue eyes.
Now you touched on about how tall they are. Do you want to? The tallest one you've seen as an adult, and the smallest one you've seen, of course, as pups. But
So the and this so the people can hear or understand how we come to this um analysis of the height, right? So there's a state that I have eyewitness there, great friend of mine's. He has had Dogman there for years already. There was another researcher that went to his house to reach the Dogman back when it was a beginning to be this ooh ah type topic. And we learned, from him, we learned a lot of things, and grateful for him for allowing me to go to his house. But
right,
he has his cabin, he has a barn, and every time I would want to scope his house or look towards the front of the house or whatever, they'd stand next to the barn. And because it would stand next to this barn, in the morning, he would take like a long yardstick that we use for construction. Um, if you're looking through the scope, there's a yardstick that you keep pushing up, and it can get tall, right? So he would take that, and I forget what it's called. I've used it so many times, I forget what it's called, but he would take that back to the barn and put it where he would see the head, and then he would measure. Okay, boom. Mom and dad did have a pup, so every time he would see the pup there, he'd go out and measure, and he'd go out and measure. So when I saw this pup, I kid you not, this pup was about 10 feet tall,
holy crap!
right? This sucker, the most stunning blue eyes you can ever imagine. But this is how, with this eyewitness, he was able to measure was because of the building being there, him being in the house. He'd go outside and start measuring from corner, from the bottom up, and know pretty much how big the pup was at what time did he see him throughout the year, and how tall were the parents. There are some like the ones we have in Wisconsin, which are typically 6, 7, 8. Throughout the year, they probably grew a foot, but they kind of stayed in that range, 6, 7, 8. The ones in upper, you know, uh, the northern states, they tend to be a little bit bigger, but the environment is different. The ones where where I lived, yeah, you had your deer, yeah, you had some, stuff to eat, but it's not as abundance as up north in the states, right? Up there you have a lot of prey and food to eat, and it's mostly wooded, farmland and just woods. You'll see a lot of cabins and stuff like that. So the environment is different, and obviously, the richer the environment, the bigger things tend to grow.
Right,
But that's how we've been able to, is like I said, and I've always said it. And I remember one day I wrote out a full letter to every witness. Well, no, an eyewitness sent me a letter of appreciation that I was helping her out because of what was happening, and I sent that letter to every other eyewitness that has helped gather information and has allowed me to not only learn but apply, right? Because I I can hear your story, but it won't mean nothing until I take it somewhere else and apply it and figure it out to realize, okay, this is what happened in your house because I
Mhm.
applied it over here, I did this over here, I did that over there. Now it comes into light, the reasons, the whys, and the whos. And I send out that message, and I think every person cried a tear out of appreciation, because we were helping out people. But that's that's how the heights and time frames, they'll tend to grow. They'll have a time frame where they're small, and then it's just going to go whoop, really big. So when that happens, you might see a dog, man. Oh, look how cute, and then you'll see him 4 months later, and you'll be like, holy crap, because the dude
Right.
had a growth spurt in 2 or 3 months, and he went from small to large.
I want to know about their hands again. So,
Hands. So
when they throw rocks, that's what I want to know. Can they throw rocks?
yes,
Do they have
yes,
hands or are they paws?
no, they throw. If the best description, anybody who's seen a Dogman will probably tell you, the best description of their hands are squirrel hands. So their hands kind of look like a squirrel.
Hmm.
So they do have, there's some and more down here than up here. But yes, they will throw rocks.
I
I've
just
gotten
wondered.
belted. I've gotten rocks thrown. Actually, I showed you an audio of the predator call with the
Oh, I
rock being
know.
thrown after.
I'd never told anybody about me hearing what sounded like a predator click because everybody that knows me knows I love the predator. It's like my favorite thing. And I was like, why am I in the woods hearing a predator click? And then Trisha from Monsters Unleashed, I didn't say a word to her about it, and she asked me the very same thing. She called it the same thing. Have you ever heard a click in the noise that sounded like a predator? And I was like, I have. And oh my gosh, did you send me the audio?
I mean, I sent to you on text.
Oh yeah. Wonder if is it in the stuff you emailed me this morning?
No, got me in a
We
different
need to start
file.
showing some of that. Yeah, you
Yeah,
sent
yeah,
me a
yeah.
bunch of stuff. Um, I'll just start playing them. Actually, it'll cut our mics when I play it, but after I play it, you can explain what it is.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
All right, let's do that.
So that one, it's in the bottom part. There's an eye shine. That's me. That's me driving into my driveway. The eye shine is just one eye shine because of the grass there. It's a bluish eye shine, and if it slowed down, you can see him like my headlamps of the car hit him, and he slightly turns. His eyeball turns sideways as he's turning his head. That's what I get when I drive into my driveway.
I
When
saw it.
they're around, like, oh, hi, you know. And they tend to do that sometimes. So it's just every time I drive in because my driveway is long, right? I get what have you guys been doing back there in the cabin? That you guys have one here looking out, me coming in, Um,
Hmm. Let me play this one too. I got one more. Well, I got several, but I'm gonna play this next one too.
play it again. Play it again. So hopefully the people that are watching the there's three sets of eye shine. Um, if I try to slow it down, you'll have three. So it looks like there's three sets of flashlights on top, right? On the bottom, everything that's my headlamp. But those 3 sets of so-called flashlights or lights are actually eye shine. And then when I
Okay,
flare
I'll
up my
play it. Okay, hold on. I can see it.
yeah, I try to slow it down as much as I could. But so that was one morning I woke up, let out the dogs before I went to work, and so I had my headlamp. That moment in time, I did not see that there. I had my camera to my chest, right? So for anybody who has cryptids in their properties, try getting a headlamp that is not so, that is not so bright, but bright enough to illuminate your front. Take your cell phone and put it on your chest while it's recording. What happens is the light that you have on your headlamp glares at them, and they really can't see your full outline, nor can they see that you have a phone in front of you.
Oh, yeah.
Works mostly every single time, right? Because they get weary. You start putting stuff out and you start showing stuff, you're gonna get weary, right? But if you come out with your phone here and your headlamp is on, all they see is your light. Their focus is on getting out of the spotlight, out of the reach of that light. Because their focus is on that, your phone is recording. And I've recorded multiple eye shines using that method. Versus if I didn't have the spotlight, right? I would have never seen the eye shine because I'm just, taking out the dogs or doing whatever. But that method, after I the one you just posted, I went to work and I started playing it. And as I played it, I'm like, whoa, time out, what the hell is this? And I'm like, because there's a stick on the video, there's a stick going across. That stick is 6 foot off the ground. And the eye
Oh,
shine is like
okay.
up here. Right? So that'll give you a reference. But yeah, when I went back to play it in slow motion, I was like, oh, there you are. And if you later on, if you put it in pause even more slower, you can see his shoulder turn completely. But yeah, that was my house. I took up the dogs. I recorded it. And they were all 3 of them were waiting for me to take out the dogs. You know.
I'm going to show another one real quick. That sounds like Jurassic Park.
That's what we call the call to action. So that recording was from Ohio. We've heard that in Illinois as well, and parts. But so the call to action call, which is that one, normally when you hear that call, you'll kind of hear sense. And when I say sense, I mean like you'll have your vegetation kind of moving or whatever. The rest of them fall back towards that call, right? Unlike other creatures or predators, when one call, they all come back to that call. Even when mom calls, the pups go back there. Mom doesn't call and walks away, or the alpha doesn't call and walks away, and they all follow. It's more of a one the call. Everybody gathers and then everybody leaves.
Oh, okay.
So when you hear we would hear that one, that's kind of when we realized, holy crap, we were all surrounded. We didn't even know. But the alpha was saying, "Hey
That's
guys,
scary.
knock it off, let's go." Um, but it's we've that one was recorded in Ohio. We've gotten Illinois. We've gotten that one. And again, it's easy to get to what certain calls mean, especially if you have an audio recorder. Listen to what's happening before, during, and after. Like so for mom does her call. You can hear in the audio the little pitter patter running back towards where you heard the audio, the little pitter patters, and then you hear some shuffling, and then you actually hear bigger pitter patter and the little pitter patters walking away. Right, so you don't have to have a complete visual to see things. If you catch the audio, you can physically hear the little pitter patters towards the audio, shuffling, and then big pitter patter, and then the little pitter patters all going in the same direction.
That is cool
But
that you figured this out. I'll play another one.
so that one is from Illinois. For those who are hearing this, you might want to go back and kind of slow it down or amplify the audio. It's the clip is small. Once you hear him say "There you go," the reason he's saying "There you go" is because it huffed at me. So once it huffs at me, he says "There you go." So what happened to that audio? I had at home collected data of certain sightings in a particular area in Illinois, and so I picked them up daytime when we went out to see these areas. And once we went around the whole circle, he tells me this is a spot where the homeowner had smelled some rotten smells. So there's a boat dock to the Illinois rivers. It's a boat dock. I parked there and we just walked to the trail to see if we saw any footprints. And sure enough, we found the same footprint. I believe I sent you a footprint from that area. Not the same one that we saw, but it's the same footprint. So there's the trail. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, I have those other pictures too. Whenever
Okay.
you're ready.
So there's the trail. There's a dip in the trail. There's like in the summertime. I imagine that'd be more of a marshy area. But it was February. Everything was frozen. I walked in there, and as I walk in there, I'm looking down. Because I'm had rain prior, so I'm thinking the rain may have caused the soil to be more softer. So if something walked on there, I can probably see some tracks. So I'm looking down. All of a sudden, I looked up and I see this big head. I went up and it went down. So it was like I looked up and he went back down. Like, fuck. So I started yelling at Dave. He's the one that heard the audio. Dave, behind me. Is there something behind me? Again, the thought of if there's one in front of you, there's one behind you. And all of a sudden, Dave goes. He points out because he walks with a walking stick. He points out, he's right there. He's right there. So I shift myself now, looking from my left and looking to behind me to my right. But I tell keep an eye on him. Make sure he doesn't come towards me. So I kind of look to the front to see if I hear, if I see him. And we began to hear clicking sounds, but like if coconuts were falling from a palm tree. I don't know if you've ever been to a tropical island where the coconut hits the dirt and it had sound. We kept on hearing that, but it was going semi-circles, back and forth, back and forth. So Dave yells at me, Rickie, you better get out of there. So I'm like, oh, fine. So I turn around, I'm walking out, and I am pissed, right? Because I had left all my bionic ears in the car. I have left my parabolics in the car. I mean, I had my cell phone, but I had my audio recorder in the car. Everything I had left in the car. And I am mad because I'm getting all this activity at around 1:30 in the afternoon, and I got nothing to show for it.
Oh.
And so I'm getting to the trail. I'm looking at Dave. I'm looking up at Dave. He goes, dude, did you see that? And I'm like, we were talking about, damn it, don't talk to me. The hell, man, I have nothing to show for this. And I told him, you know what, screw you. And I walked in. And I told him, keep an eye out. And as I'm walking back in, the huff happened. He says, "There you go," and then my brain says, "Okay, we're good. I got something right," and I walked back out. The interesting part about that one was that really lit up the oh crap. It's 1:30 in the afternoon, and from my position, if I were to look towards the right, I see about 3 or 4 homes. My brain starts going 1,000 miles an hour. How in the world, or why in the world, would this elusive creature be giving out all this commotion when I'm physically seeing homes right there? If somebody's at their porch, they too can hear what's going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on here? So me and Dave were saying these stuff to each other. It's like there has to be something of significance in that island. There's an island that in the summertime and in the wintertime towards the spring, you can walk across it. The water will probably be waist deep. Then it probably gets to chest deep in the summertime, right? But it's closer to that so-called marshy area. And I said, "What? There's something. There has something in that island, right? Because why would they act stupid in plain daylight?" That's when I realized, guys, because then I went and messaged every darn eyewitness that I've ever talked to up until then, and I asked them, "Listen, is there a den in your property or nearby that you know of?" Every single one of them said yes. I thought they were just a bear den. Yes, I thought it was something else.
Mm-hmm.
Bingo. So now we know there's these guys are making dens, are making they're giving birth.
Foxholes. Mm-hmm.
They're making they're giving birth to pups near homes. So that's how that sparked that. We did go back to the island and we got ourselves kicked out from the island, but we're alive. um, so we made it out safe, but we all of us got our butts kicked out of the islands. But that's when we realized, okay, so added commotion, added problems to the environment causes mom and dad to come find out what's going on because there's pups around. Once
Yep.
the added commotion goes down and the environment goes back to normal, mom and dad now allows their pups to frolic in the backyard. That tells me that mom and dad knows the people that live there for a long period of time for them to be actually comfortable to leaving their pups there. Some
Right.
will actually leave the pups there when they go on longer hunting spouts. So the eyewitness will see the pups for a week or two before they eventually see mom and dad again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, People associate bad things. That's why they come. The reality is the word is the change of environment that can be rather good or that can be bad. Stuff that we've worked with is a family has just really bought a house, and so no one has lived there for the past 6 months. And now mom and dad are coming in to slightly renovate things. There's added commotion to the home. Dogman shows up. Nothing bad's happened. Nothing
Scoping
evil
it.
is happening.
They're checking
It's
it
just
out.
right. There's something new happening in the environment. They're not used to that, right? And then always with everything is how you respond to them coming is normally how it ends up happening afterwards. So if you act stupid, they're going to act stupid. If you play it cool, they'll play it cool. So we had one that every single time the dad would come over, and this was a very good case because it then allowed mom to realize something. Every time the dad showed up unannounced, because they had gotten a divorce, the Dogman would show up. And then mom realized that dad was, let's say, harassing her, trying to coach the kid to this and that. But it was every time the dad showed up unannounced, they'd end up there. So they didn't like the dad whatsoever.
They were
Bad
watching
vibes.
it, but
Yeah. I mean, like, so it let me know that, wait a minute, how was the dad acting? And the son actually told mom, every time he get there, his son didn't really want to open the doors because he knew that he wasn't supposed to be there, and he'd act stupid, be knocking at the doors or yelling or going around the house, and
he
that
was a
was
threat.
prompting, right, and then that was what was prompting the Dogman to show up. Like, in their minds, who is this idiot here? They're disturbing our peace. But the coming to the homes has nothing with evil or bad mumbo jumbo. It's just a change in the environment. That can be good. That can be bad. You know,
They're just checking it out, basically.
yeah, that's it.
I'm gonna show this
That's
other
all.
one. Well,
That's a howl. Just a plain howl. It's more of a like an, I don't want to say the morn howl, but it's just, they're just probably doing nothing and they're just howling at the moon or something.
I'm gonna try to pull up these other ones. I'm technically challenged, so let's see what happens. 1 sec. We're gonna try it. I can make that bigger. No, I guess I can't.
It's there though.
Yep. So that's a footprint you found?
Yeah, that's a footprint from Alaska. I sent you a picture of the same structured footprint from Illinois. It's a little pike.
Yeah, let me see if I can go find it.
Let me see how here we had different footprints, even though they're from states thousands of miles away.
Oh, that is not a footprint. What's that?
No. So this is a deer that was brought to the lady that the Red Cross stopped bringing food to them. I mean, not deer, the sheep. Remember we were talking about an eyewitness.
Yeah, they gifted them.
Yep. So so the eyewitness, she has a whole story. We can probably do 2 shows on her alone.
Right.
She was working. She's working for a search and rescue group. They have this trailer where they're staying at. They had their sandwiches. They had their things. But during this flood, there was a day in which the Red Cross wasn't able to bring them a hot meal. Now, the Red Cross would bring them a hot meal once a day. Normally, the afternoon dinner type meal. Once the Red Cross wasn't able to come to this area, the next day, that sheep was brought and left at the front door of the trailer. The day after, it snowed, and then there's the footprints, which I didn't send you the footprints. But so this sheep was interesting because I was trying to figure out what the meaning of this is. And I asked her specifically, is there any farms around the area? And she said no. So her assignment was to find out where's the next closest farm that has sheep. Once she figured that out, the closest farm that had sheep was 12 miles away. So this is the typical how they, I've had goat pictures of farmers also have that leg torn off. But So this was again, this was brought to an eyewitness, the eyewitness front door of the trailer in which she was staying at for a mission, right? A search and rescue mission, which obviously freaked out her coworkers as well because they don't know what's going on, you know. Um,
Yeah.
but they do gift people, um, people they know they trust that have some sort of symbiotic relationship with, and they since they live around these individuals, they know off the bat when you're home, when you're not home. Um, if you're stressed, if you're not stressed. Uh, so they will gift you stuff. They will take stuff. And then you'll see that stuff probably 3 months later. Your kids might be missing a bike, and the bike will show up somewhere where the kid doesn't normally go to. A month later,
Right.
we've had dolls brought back, balls taken and brought back. And it's always, oh, the kids just don't know where they put it. That's the main issue. But when questioned, the proper questions, you realize, well, wait a minute, the kid never goes into the barn because he's afraid of the horses or he's afraid of the whatever. So how did the bike end up at the barn or something like that? The dolls, some of them will be missing, and then something similar will be brought back to them.
Hmm.
Right? We had a gun collector, gun enthusiast. Don't ask me how this happened, but we had a gun enthusiast who had Dogman, scooping around his house, whatever. And this was back in the days. Um, and he there was the footprint where it was stand up and look into his home. And I don't know if that sparked it up. I don't know. But 2 days later or some days later, it had left an antique pistol in front of that window to the property owner.
How cool is that?
And he doesn't know, like, he went out to search if anybody in the area was missing a pistol. He couldn't find who it was, so he obviously he kept it. But it left that for him. So they do gift people, and they'll take stuff, but they'll give stuff back. So they're not the all evil type of scenarios where you know you're always doing something wrong or bad.
Right. I love your shedding light on this because that's all you hear is negative stuff, and I think it's really cool. I'm going to show some more of your pictures because I'm running low on time. So
Okay.
let me do this. I hope we're on the third one. Oh, yeah,
Which one
that's
is
a
it?
cast. That's a
Yep.
nice print.
You can see the dew claw on
What?
the side of it.
Yeah,
The
where'd that
heel
come
print.
from?
This is Illinois.
Okay. How big is that?
The lady's shoe was a 9.5.
Okay.
One of our friends. This is where we did the research across the street from this area. And then so she researches Bigfoots. She knows we research Dogman. So across from where we were researching Dogman, probably that same month,
Hmm.
across from it, she was hiking. She found the tracks, and the minute she seen the tracks, is like in the area to go down there. And so we found a whole bunch of different tracks of different sizes. So when it's raining, Dogman will find thick coverage. A lot of deer will go under these thick coverage to protect themselves from the rain or whatnot. Well, if there's those areas around, Dogman will search these areas and during the rain ambush the prey. So this day, apparently, it seems, again, I can't confirm this, it was a training day for all the youngsters because the two tracks that you have, one is a small track, then you have this track. They're all from the same spot, right? And then the small track is the small track of the larger track from Alaska. So the Alaska track is
Mm-hmm.
the same track, except one is, an adult, let's say, or an older juvenile, versus the little guy. This picture that was from Illinois.
Cool. All right, let me get another one up here. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I could see them.
Yeah,
That one
that's the
there.
little guy. So the lady from the picture from the Alaskan picture is the exact same track, except one's bigger, one's smaller.
Right. You can see it
And you
plain as day. I,
and if you
I got one of
and
these.
if
Oh,
and if anybody could, because I know you won't be able to, but if anybody frees this, you can see the thermal ridges on that little heel indentation.
right there. Yeah. I don't know if I can make it bigger. No, that's as big as it's going to get. Okay.
Yeah, somebody will then have to, or I
Yeah, but
can
they can
zoom it in later
try.
on and post it on my page.
All right. Let me see what else I got downloaded. My technically challenged self. Let's see what this is. It's the same print. So it did
Yeah,
it twice. Sorry, you guys. Technically challenged over here. I need a sign for my forehead.
I think we all are.
I so am. I admit it. I don't try to act like I'm not. I am terrible at this stuff. I'm learning though.
So
Okay.
that's okay. So that track is the first track that I ever found as a researcher in Illinois. This is the same type of track that was found when it huffed at me. That audio
Mhm.
that you played. But this is the first track. This track was, again, it was in a teepee type structure behind it. How large was this track? Which unfortunately I don't have the picture that has a dollar bill beside it and side by it. So it was larger than a dollar bill. Either
Mhm.
way you put it on that track.
Oh, cool. Those are some good tracks. Hold on. Let me see what else I can pull up. I'm allergic to my cats, you guys, and my eyes are itching off because my cat's been sitting here the whole time we've been talking, wanting me to pet his head.
So,
Oh, that's a
Kentucky,
big one right there. Kentucky.
Kentucky. So that's a front paw. Now you might think, right? If the dogman has hands,
Hmm.
why aren't the print showing the large fingers?
That's exactly what I was just thinking.
Right. Now, the answer to that is go look at a squirrel's paw print, and you will see that a lot of the paw prints of a squirrel are just like this picture, even though the squirrel has large fingers.
Oh, yep, you're
Because
right.
because they raise up their knuckle area and whatnot, so their fingertips end up being close to the actual pad. Right now,
You're right. You're right.
when they move in certain directions or whatnot, sure, you might end up having a print where you have fingers, right,
Right.
on it. But a squirrel will have prints depending on the posture. There's a lot of nuances to this, in which you see a normal paw print from a squirrel, even though squirrels have fingers. And then there's
I've got
you have it up. So then
right here.
you see the pad, the pad has like a two double pad, not just your normal canine pad.
I feed squirrels here, so I've seen their little tracks in the snow all the time.
Yeah.
I forgot what number I'm on, so I might pull up something. Yep, just like that. Sorry, you guys. I'm a whole clown today. Uh,
It's too early. You need more. Uh,
I need to wake up. My friend's outside with a frappe. I got to go to the hospital with her. Um, dang it. I did it again. Sorry, you guys. Some things downloaded twice because, like I said, I'm a whole clown with some technology. So, my bad. I'm trying, though. Bear with me, y'all. That's a nice one. See, it's got the fingers.
so that's a rear paw.
Mm-hmm.
That's a rear paw, and that is the print of the cast that you put posted.
It goes right with it. Okay. Let me see. I'm not doing too bad. Trying to
No,
pull
you're
this
doing
stuff
great.
off.
Actually, if it would have been me, it would have been worse.
Are you a clown with technology too?
Yep.
That's a good print too.
Yeah. And again, the heel on the back, the little um
They
little
got ridges.
indentation. Yeah.
All right. I have no idea what I'm pulling up, so we're just going to get surprised when it pops on the screen, okay? But I think I already did this one because it's got the same number. Okay, let's see what this one is. That's the same one. Okay, that's all that I got,
Okay.
and that's awful. I wish I would have had you send that predator clip because I can't believe you got that on audio. It sounds just like a
Yep.
predator too. But thank you. I want to thank you so much for coming on here. I think it's really refreshing to have somebody shed some light on the Dogman because of how they're portrayed, and it's so great to have you on. I really, really, really appreciate you coming on, sharing all your knowledge and your experience with them and sharing your photos and stuff. I appreciate you doing that. Can I have you back on the next time so we can talk about, because there's so much more, like this isn't even covering half the
Yeah.
stuff. So will you come back on for like a part 2 soon?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. All right. Do you want to share where you're at so people can follow your work?
Well, I am extremely active on the TikTok, the ACT, American Canine Cryptid Team, so ACRT.
Mhm.
And the reason there is because I can download longer videos if I have to, or longer explanations. Normally TikTok and IG only covers bits, so you gotta talk fast, or squeeze it
Right,
in. Versus TikTok, I can do a 10-minute video. Rather it be an audio explanations or whatnot, I can put it all together. So on
right.
TikTok, ACRT, you'll have a screenshot of Dogman on top. Is what it is. Um,
Yeah.
and if
Well,
any
thank you.
any eyewitness have any situations or questions, you can message me there as well. I'll get back to you, I promise. And like I said, if you have any difficulties or stuff like that, we've been doing this for over a decade. And then again, and on part 2, there's so much information to share that it's like
It is.
you can't never get it in one.
You can't. I had you on the phone for 2 hours, and there's still. But wait, there's more. You know what I mean? I love hearing about it though because it makes me not so terrified if I do run into one because clearly, not only I have something throwing a rock at me at my hiking place, but that's where I heard the predator click. So, and I found Bigfoot tracks there. So, like, do Bigfoot and Dogman hang out because they're
They do.
notoriously in the same place?
They do. In the beginning, they was taught that they don't hang out together or they fought each other.
They're just coexisting.
Huh? Oh, surely there are places where they fight each other. Sometimes there are territorial fights, but in other places they hang out. A lot of times, one will be on one side of the river or the creek, and the other one will be on the other side of the river or creek as a divider.
All right, I'm definitely going to have you back on for a part 2. Whenever you got time, just let me know, and I'm going to get you back on here because there's so much more stuff I want to know about.
All right, like I said,
It's great.
absolutely.
All right, well, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and end this recording. I'm not going to play my outro because this video is almost 2 hours, so I'm just going to stop recording. So just stay there. I'll be right back.